I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
Who we can be, unburdened by who we have been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
Where we can be, unburdened by where we have been, and unburdened by where we are right now.
What can be.
America. You do a lot of things right over there. Your constitution is on point. Your country's own climate can be frozen blizzards or an unbearable Sahara at different areas of the nation all at the same time. And you don't take government at their word. That's a good thing. However, you do not so well in other areas. For example, sarcasm is still a mystery to you all. The notion of being the world's policeman wasn't such a great idea, and you tend to elect silly people. I'm sorry to say. I mean, my country's not great right now, it is bad, but I cannot fault the man's intelligence. Anyway, the big story is that Joe Biden is out and more than likely Kamala Harris is in. This old guy finally decided to give up and handed his 4 months notice. At least that's an interesting way of saying Democrat coup. Now, there are those who actually think this is a Hillary comeback tour and she only endorsed Kamala Harris to save face, because something mystical or magical or something rigged. Basically, something will happen at the DNC that puts her at the top, which, either way, Hillary versus Trump round 2, or Harris versus Trump is going to be some hilarious TV. But that's not the story to tell today. No, I want to tell you the story, or at least in part, of Kamala Harris herself, how she got to her position, and why, for the love of God, America, you shouldn't elect her.
You okay, bro?
I'm fine. Let's get on with the video. Kamala Harris, a woman who ran on a Joe Biden presidential ticket to the White House with the slogan, "Decency was on the ballot." Well, yes, decency is on the ballot this time round, but you are not displaying any of it. Now, as members of the public, we like to hold elected officials to this unreachable standard. Let's be honest about that. But how about just having a standard full stop? Something Kamala Harris lacks. She has not earned a single public office in her life. She has quite literally slept her way to the top. And no, I don't mean falling asleep. I mean, when you stick your yoo-hoo in your cha-cha.
You guys are gonna fuck, aren't you?
Let's start with the one everyone knows, but may not know everything. Kamala dated married politician, yes, separated at the time, but still married, Willie Brown. And he dated her all the way to the point of being elected, and then she was cast aside.
You tell her she's a goddamn whore.
Ooh,
Always been a whore.
Well, at least, apparently. I'm not sure if I fully believe that, I'll have to say. But let's just go with the reported facts. What we do know is that he made some quick appointments, almost like, I don't know. A bribe has been handed out, I'm sure I'm wrong. Brown, exercising his power even as his speakership seems near an end, named attorney Kamala Harris to the California Medical Assistance Commission, a job that pays $72,000 a year. Just to give a little context, $72,000 in 1994 is roughly $150,000 now. It was a big job, and California was a much different state. It had a lot cheaper cities.
It's all destroyed. Nothing left.
But then she moved on to more public men. In 2001, she dated Montel Williams, who, for some reason, everyone on Twitter thinks is P. Diddy.
Sorry, man. Oh, y'all look alike.
It was here the world was first introduced to her by name. This association was described by Montel as brief. Perhaps another example of her stepping up the ladder by lying on her back. Kamala is by every definition a social climber. In 2013, she met her now husband, Doug Emhoff, a man who was partner in charge at Venable LLP in Los Angeles, a law firm that in 2021 was ranked as the 78th highest grossing in the world. Now put it this way, in the UK, There are around 9,500 law firms alone, and these guys are 78th in the world. Yeah, she married up. In terms of her career, however, in 1998, she was hired by renowned progressive Terence Hallinan as an assistant district attorney. Now, I will say, there is no official evidence of a sexual relationship between the two. However, Hallinan seems to have a blind spot for women, especially women of a non-white origin, which is evident by the issues he has championed and the problems he has faced. Apparently, he wanted to legalize prostitution. Wonder why he wanted that. Also, 2 assistant district attorneys were found to have sex in his office, and Hallinan only fired the man involved, George Lee, not Libby Lou. A perfect environment for Kamala Harris, a man who prioritizes non-white females. A man, along with Lou, who later slandered George with a sexual harassment charge, though the act was meant to be consensual. After this occurred, Hallinan's chief assistant Marla Miller was coerced into resigning due to the scandal. Hallinan says she resigned. Yeah, sure. And of all the people he replaced her with was David Middleston, the man who defended him in his own sexual harassment lawsuit that was settled out of court. All of this is fertile ground for Kamala Harris, a man open to prostitution and corruption. Now, over the years, she went through several positions, drumming up a much wider public image of herself until running for the top job, district attorney. This was her biggest step, running against the man who had originally recruited her, and, might I add, primarily being funded by Willie Brown in her campaign. She won, and by her second term, ran unopposed. It all sounds sweet, it all sounds very nice, like she's the best at her job. Not so much. Both her terms are littered with examples of misconduct, perversions of justice, and a template of what her presidency would look like. As Attorney General, she weaponized technicalities to keep wrongfully convicted people behind bars rather than allow them new trials with competent counsel and prosecutors willing to play fair. One of them, Kevin Cooper, is on death row. Another, George Gage, will die in prison without intervention from the governor. In both cases, Harris had the power to change the outcome. She could have demanded DNA testing in Cooper's case. She refused. She could have conceded Gage's conviction was based on the prosecutor's decision to suppress evidence that devastated the credibility of the sole witness against him. She didn't. Tulsi Gabbard exposed Harris for who and what she was during the Democratic debates in 2020.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
This is the woman who could be the next president if people don't wake up. A woman who sleeps to the very top in positions she is ill-equipped to handle and is willing as her crowning achievement to step over a dementia-stricken old man in her final act of elder abuse to gain ultimate power. They call Trump a threat to democracy. She literally held people in prison who didn't deserve to be there. She is the threat. She is the problem. I just hope people see through her BS. And if this is all a smokescreen for Hillary to return, let me just throw this classic in here for good measure.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.